There will be no more waiting for What's Trending either. Presented by Feastbox, donating 10% of every order to Full of Hope, a charitable organization that feeds hungry families. Now, before we get to more of our discussion on Kedon Slovis, you will, ironically enough, have to wait a little bit longer.
It's funny how that worked out. It was not planned that way.
It's because we have some breaking news. BYU men's basketball and the non-conference schedule have gone official. It was just released moments ago. So let's take a look, Jason, and get initial reactions to the first ever non-conference schedule for BYU men's hoops as a member of the Big 12 Conference. The season opens. That's not the Yukon Husky. That's the Houston Christian Husky.
I did have to take a double take.
When I first saw it, I was like, what? No, it's Houston Christian on November 6th. And then how about the second game showdown with San Diego State, a team that played in the national championship game a year ago? They're in the Marriott Center on November 10th.
I love that BYU and San Diego State have maintained the basketball scheduling back and forth.
Yes.
They've been able to play each other for several seasons. I love that there is that connection moving forward.
It's a rivalry.
Yes, 100%.
Southeastern Louisiana also at the Marriott Center on November 15th, followed by the Bears of Morgan State visiting Provo on November 18th. We move later into November and the multi-team event in Las Vegas. How about Arizona State?
Future conference opponent.
Indeed. We didn't think that was going to be the case just a few weeks ago, but here we are. This is a preview of Big 12 play, if you will, and then it'll be either North Carolina State or Vanderbilt at the Las Vegas Showdown. Then there's a week off. Fresno State at the Delta Center, the home of the Utah Jazz, on December 1st.
Yeah, it's fun that that's continuing, that BYU will be able to play at the home of the Utah Jazz. It's always fun to see my two worlds come together.
Yes.
You got BYU and the Jazz in one spot. I love it.
I hope that the NBA arena situation goes a little bit better for BYU this year compared to what happened against South Dakota State.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
On December 5th, the Aces of Evansville will visit Provo, and then BYU at Utah, also a Big 12 conference preview now. The Cougars and Utes meet at the Huntsman Center in Salt Lake City on December 9th. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, that is the only true road game in the non-conference schedule.
And it's 45 miles north. That is your lone true road game is in Salt Lake City.
Love that.
Yeah, everything else will either be MTE or in Provo.
Yes, a neutral site. And even the farthest, you go to Las Vegas, BYU's home away from home, right? Ton of fans there, okay? Into the mid part and latter part of December, BYU will host the Pioneers of Denver on December 13th. Then they'll welcome Georgia State. The Panthers visit the Marriott Center on December 16th. Bellarmine will take on BYU on December 22nd, little Christmas-ish type game. And how about the Wyoming Cowboys? Yes, Wyoming and BYU will meet in basketball to close out the non-conference schedule on December 30th.
Do you know where Bellarmine is, by the way?
Is it in North Carolina?
It is in Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, it's in Kentucky.
I did not know. Had no clue.
I thought it was in North Carolina.
Had no idea where that was.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I just looked it up.
Well, we welcome them from Kentucky on December 22nd. Okay, quick overall thoughts, top to bottom on the non-conference schedule.
I mean, look, I like the fact that BYU is going to get a lot of opportunities to play at home. I like that. I like the fact that they're not going to have to do a ton of traveling. The fact that you only have the one true road game, and then you have the tournament in Vegas. You have, the neutral site game in Salt Lake City. So I like the fact that you're not going to have to travel a lot before you start what is going to be an unbelievable conference schedule, in the Big 12. So I like what they've done.
BYU, depending on how the schedule shakes out and where they play the games in conference, and when, for that matter, will face anywhere between, I think, 14 to 18 Quad 1 teams.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you're not familiar with the quadrants, Quadrant 1 games are the most difficult according to the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee. So,
and you get the most credit for playing or just scheduling.
Yes, you're not necessarily penalized for losing a Quad 1 game. Certainly not on the road when you lose a Quad 1 game. But BYU is probably going to play somewhere between 14 and 18 Quadrant 1 games in Big 12 play. As I look at the non-conference slate, Jason, at most I think 3, probably 2. Probably just 2, and I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
Like, warm up, let this team gel. This is a unique situation for Mark Pope. He just lost Quez Glover. He had one of the youngest teams, as far as experience goes, in the entire country a year ago. this will give this team, after their trip to Italy, a little bit more time to gel together and then get ready for, as you mentioned, it's just going to be an unbelievably difficult run through the Big 12.
Yep, the non-conference, its entire purpose is to get yourself ready for conference play.
All right, we wait no longer for quarterback discussion, Kedon Slovis discussion from BYU football training camp. And we're going to have a little bit of fun with this today, Jason. We have a one-on-one interview with Kedon and some blind resumes to look at what we think a good season would translate to in wins and losses, and what we think Kedon has to do to meet a quote-unquote good season and the numbers within a good season. Like I said, it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll also play over-under later in the show with some key statistics surrounding Mr. Slovis. But first, we begin with the Kedon Slovis interview, Jace. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and start with the blind resumes. Can we do that?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's do blind resumes. What would a good season look like for Kedon Slovis this year? Just without seeing anything. When I say it's a good season, what does that look like to you?
So we're talking numbers?
Yes, just straight up numbers. And again, to help us look into this, we have some resumes.
All right, so let's look at these.
Yes.
Let's look at these. And we don't know.
We don't know who this is.
We don't know who this is. We have not seen these numbers. This is the first time we're seeing this.
We don't know who it is, when it happened, okay? And so, but if you say, okay, Kedon Slovis completes 61.3% of his passes, over 3,500 yards, he's throwing for 323 a game, 25 touchdowns, 15 interceptions with an efficiency of 139. Would that qualify as a good season for Kedon Slovis?
Yeah, I think it would be a good season. Yeah.
323 passing yards per game with 25 touchdowns. A little high on the interceptions.
Yeah, see, that's the where I would go. I would say that it's a little high. I like the 25 because 25 was kind of the number that I looked at and said, for a good season, I think he's more than capable of getting at least 25 touchdowns.
Okay.
Now, I think he will do better than that. We'll get to a little more of that later on in over-under.
Yes.
But I kind of looked at 25 was kind of that number. So, yeah, I would say that is a good season. I don't know if that's the season I think that he would want for himself.
Sure. A little low on the completion percentage as well, 61.3. Kedon's season average over his career is 65.9% completion. He dipped down towards the low 60s. In fact, I think it was maybe under 60 last season at Pittsburgh. So big dip, but he wasn't healthy, was not dealing with a full deck there at Pittsburgh. And I'm not talking about Kedon. I'm talking about just the weapons around him where all of a sudden were gone. His offense coordinator's gone. So I want that to be a little higher, and I'm with you. Like the touchdown to interception ratio needs to be closer to 3-1. Okay, so who was that out of curiosity?
Let's find out wwho that was.
Like Ryan Hancock. Oh, it was Kevin Federer.
Kevin Federer.
I thought maybe it was Ryan Hancock in the
and they went
early 90s.
8-4 that year. So, see, based off of those numbers, I was going to say that was probably a 7 or 8 win season.
Okay. 8-4 in the Mountain West Conference. How would that translate to the Big 12? With those numbers, not playing the Mountains, maybe 6 wins.
Yeah.
Like I'd probably say
probably
6 wins.
7.
If you're throwing 15 interceptions and completing 61% of your passes, but you're throwing for a ton of yards, 6 wins. Okay, for me. All right,
let's see the next one.
Blind resume number 2. I love this. Again, we don't know who it is or which season it was or how many games they even won. It's under 60%.
Okay, so the TD to interception ratio, though, is a little bit better because I like the 10. I like the 10 or less. But, yeah, under 60. Passing yards, still almost 3,400.
296 yards per game.
Basically 300 yards a game.
Would we be unhappy if Kedon Slovis threw for almost 300 a game? Are you kidding me?
No, we would not be.
That would be an amazing number. Against a low on completion, touchdown interception ratio, as you point out, is a little bit better, and the efficiency, if that's right, 259.8.
What's the record with these numbers? If this is what Kedon's putting up, what's the record this year?
7 wins.
See, I'm going to say 6.
So it's 159.8. I wonder, is that Steve Young? Is that Steve Young?
Actually, I'm going to say, before we reveal, I'm going to say 7. I'm changing. I'm saying 7 with that.
7 win season?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Now, let's see who that was.
My over-under right there is probably 6.5 as well. Okay. So the blind resume reveal. Who is? I think it's Steve Young.
Okay.
Okay. Because this is a total shot in the dark. And it's Tanner Mangum. Okay.
9-4.
9-4 as an independent.
Yes.
That was a lighter schedule that BYU played. I mean, Nebraska and
Boise State, yes.
But that Nebraska team had a losing record. Okay, it was fun. It was great. Boise State was not the team that we thought they were. They were ranked when BYU beat them, but they kind of tailed off as well. 9-4 in Independence with a lighter schedule. You think 7 wins?
7 is kind of where I go with this,
7, I'm at 6.5. I'd set the over-under at 6.5 right there. Okay, blind resume number 3. This is so much fun. All right, what do you got for us? 61%.
3,700 passing yards.
309 a game. And how about the 29 touchdown passes, only 14 interceptions?
I'm taking this. The completion I know is at 61.
3,700 yards.
I absolutely take this. And
this
I say
is 7 wins.
I say it's 8 wins.
8?
Yeah.
Too many interceptions.
Okay, let's see.
7 interceptions.
Let's see who this is.
Okay, it's John Walsh.
10-3.
One of the most underrated seasons in BYU football history, by the way. 10-3. BYU beat Notre Dame and Oklahoma this season as part of BYU's 6-1 combined record against Oklahoma and Texas. Yes, they won in South Bend, and the Cougars dominated Oklahoma in the Copper Bowl. Okay,
I'm taking those numbers.
10-3 in the WAC.
Yes. And remember, the WAC was a bit different then.
I just don't think BYU's going to be able to turn the ball over that much and get away with it in the Big 12.
I agree. But you've got to remember that that's when that was the heyday of scoring. You know what I mean? I'm taking it. I will take those numbers.
I look at those numbers, and again, consistently across those blind resumes, I just want a little bit better completion percentage and fewer interceptions. I don't know that I expect Kedon Slovis to throw for that many yards. Like
I'm not sure he's going to have
most of those guys were closer to like 3,400 or more.
Right.
You give me 3,000 yards and fewer interceptions, better completion percentage. Now we're talking what Aaron Roderick is really excited about.
I don't know if with the running backs that BYU has this year, I don't know if he's going to have to throw 3,700 yards.
All right.
To be able to have this success like that.
As promised, I recently spoke with Kedon Slovis one-on-one after BYU football training camp to get his thoughts on what it's like to play for his offensive coordinator, Aaron Roderick, and what is it like to compete against a J-Hill defense now in practice. One-on-one with Kedon Slovis.